Point sheets are very effective for keeping track of a person who needs help with something, but only when it's done correctly. Primary behavior point sheets are easy to relate to, with a good rating for being good and a bad rating for being bad. There's all sorts of ways in which you can do that. Those kinds of point sheets work to teach and train children how to behave properly and responsibly. It's good in the way of informing them of primary wrong behavior. That's the kind of behavior where it happens with no cause. By no cause, that means it wasn't caused by either a poor teaching or the absence of the genetic discipline to prevent it, or a reaction to somebody else's primary wrong behavior. Those are the only three acceptable excuses you can use to prove the secondary in what you did that was wrong. For any other reason, it's just an excuse to endanger people and to create chaos. Be sure to correct a person who's trying to hypnotize you with talking about such excuses for any kind of bad behavior. When it comes to doing point sheets of any kind, there's some things you need to know about how they're used. Number one, you can't do two sheets at the same time on any one person. One of them might be based on one set of deals, and the other might be based on another set of deals. If both of them are done at the same time, they referee with each other and causes entries and deductions to go back and forth too much, and then both plans end up getting lost. If you need another point sheet to go up because of a certain requirement, first discontinue the current one and then set up the new one. This will help to ensure that the earnings remain consistent. Number two, you can't set up the plan to go by not doing something and not getting something in the same plan. Whichever of these you choose either goes by not doing something or by not getting something, but not both. If you set it up to work for both uses, the earning will never get reached, and there'll be too much losses and restarting needs. Whatever the earning is based on stays according to how it started. If the start over is based on being sent to or taken to time out, then you can't say that it was caused by their behavior. You can either set the deal up to start over based on being sent or taken to time out, or you can set it up to do so based on their behavior, but not both. Furthermore, if you set up a point sheet that starts over based on being sent or taken to time out, who you did it to will be convinced that refusing to go to timeout is acceptable to do when they know it's not. This is one case you have to accept because as a teacher you are responsible for how you set up a point sheet. Number three, you can't set up two deals to one reward. If one of them has been started based on a certain earning, you can't insert a second deal into that current point sheet midway through it. That will subtract from the first deal's earnings and will cause the reward to be only half earned. You do have the right to your opinion about your child or student or client's behavior, but you can't change the earning deal midway through the point sheet. First, you have to discontinue the first deal, and then you can add in the next deal. Number four, it's not acceptable to monopolize with your child or student or client's point sheet either. If it's written on the bulletin as of to what's going on, you, the caretaker, have to agree to go by it exactly as it's written. For instance, if your child states out that they're done with getting spanked after a certain date, this means that their behavior is no longer in partnership with spankings 100%. This also means that you're no longer allowed to offer them any spankings either. A child who's being given higher punishments than they legally deserve has the right to say, "That's the last time I'm going to take that from you ever again," without any comments about their behavior. The only time it can legally be denied is if they're consistently doing the behaviors on the following lists. Pause this clip and read them all down. Now you know the only 3 types of behaviors that forbid you from arranging a stopping day to the punishments you don't think you deserve. If what your child or student or client does is not listed on these papers, then they have the legal right to say they're through with you doing the things you do to them, and that's the way it goes. Whenever your child sets up a plan to make a 100-day record of having no spankings because you kept on doing it to them in a deadly way, you must go by that plan exactly how they wrote it out to you as it's placed on the bulletin board. If you take their idea and set it up to work according to their behavior with everything listed, and they have to make it to 100 points over it, you're just abusing their plan. You're just making more work for yourself in trying to teach them good behavior and having to put up with more stubbornness in punishment. This is especially true if you list down all of the things they have to do that they hate to earn a point, which goes into argument much too easily. Doing all of this for earning a certain reward will never work because of this. 100 only works for the number of days in which you didn't get something that you don't deserve. Use it any other way and you're just abusing the system. A child who makes the grade of 100 days without getting spanked the deadly way, or indefinitely getting grounded for lame reasons, or excessive time out gets a Marshall badge. That proves that they're very smart and know better than to excessively punish people. It even proves that they have the responsibility for possibly being Karate Kid if their personality revolves around that. Mostly it proves that they're capable of maintaining good behavior and can be trusted with working with other people's behaviors as well. The same thing is true if the teacher takes such an idea and sets it up to work like a very absurd kind of rating system. Some of those teachers used to do the earning system through levels. It really doesn't work like that because behavior expectancy doesn't change until they get to the next grade level from where they currently are. First, you have to see their report card as the school year closes, and you have to wait until their current rating system closes before you can add anything new to work on. Levels on point sheets only work in neurophysiological remedying schooling after the import of that student's new artificial ability that they can never learn. After that's been done, that student gets placed into mental therapy to help them to get used to their new ability. You do it just so with this new computer program, Lumosity. You evaluate what level they're on based on the different levels on each game that they're playing. You always look for the middle rating to help to evaluate their ability levels. If you do it any other way, it's misusing the level system on rating sheets. Another good way to raise the levels in a point sheet is to maintain earning for only certain things, like having completed 5 school worksheets per school day. After reaching 100 points, you can raise the expectancy up to 6 worksheets per day, and then up to 7 after completing another 100 days. Whenever your child makes plans to go 1 whole year without getting spanked because of how deadly you did it, you must go by that plan exactly how they wrote it out to you as it's placed on the bulletin board. If you take their plan and make it look like it's just a primary behavior point sheet, it's being passive to their rightful plan. If you keep to the deal with your deadly spanking if they do wrong and separate it from their point sheet, you're basically refusing to go by the written plan. This means you either said to them, for as long as your point sheet is placed up there, I'm going to keep on spanking you, or I'm not going to go by that as you wrote it. You can't make a deal on somebody else's right-of-way and only on your own one. If the deal remained after the arranged stopping day, then there'd be no such thing as an arranged stopping day at all. It's also wrong to follow them around with ratings. Whatever you see written on the bulletin board about how the earnings are done means exactly what it says. This means you can't partner what they're not taking with their behavior, and you can't make the ratings look like that either. During that time in which they designated to live without getting what they don't deserve, they have the right of way to avoid getting it right or wrong. If you don't see it written on the bulletin, then you can't make the rating that way. Whenever something goes wrong with your child's behavior, if it's not primarily a bad one, and it's wrong to state what they'll lose out on if it's not written on the bulletin. Following your child or student or client around with ratings that are not written on the bulletin that they wrote is called harassment and will result in some severe punishment. You'll end up talking with the district attorney and be given a court order to stop it. A child who makes the grade of one whole year without getting spanked the deadly way, or excessive getting grounded for lame reasons, or excessive timeout gets a Marshall badge. For 100 days, they get a silver Marshall badge. When they get 10 silver badges, they get 1 gold badge. After that, they become ready for their new challenge for going one whole year without getting those things. After they finish their whole year plan, they get a copper badge, which will graduate them from all behavior point sheets. The functions of behavior point sheets work a certain way. Only the primary behavior point sheets get deductions based on behavior. 100-day records of not getting spanked the deadly way, or getting indefinitely grounded for lame reasons, or excessive time out have no deductions and simply start over back at day 1. If you're given what you're not accepting during those times, if you don't start those counts over, whether going back a certain number of days or stay on your current day, your evaluation will show people that you don't have the responsibility for a 100-day record of not getting any one of these things. Year-long records of not getting those 3 overdone examples have no deductions either, but when they start over in their count, it can only be done at the border of each month, unlike the 100-day record where you can start over any time of the year. A year-long plan can't get properly evaluated if you restart midway through the month. One more kind of point sheet that has no deductions either is the work completion chart. The ratings on that chart are based on how much of your schoolwork you completed for the day. If there were deductions based on behavior on that kind of point sheet, it would steal away their credit for their schoolwork completion, and that would be unfair, wouldn't it? Whether it uses coloring squares or a gumball dispenser, if anything was to get deducted from there, the work completion record would be invalid. If either of these point sheets are used for reasons other than work completion, then the sheets won't work like they're supposed to work. If the deductions due to poor behavior were done in a 100-day record of having no overdone punishments, or if it's done for a whole year or 1 season or for just a week, it falsifies the point sheet of its use. There's also vacation use times off of getting what you don't like too. For instance, if your parent or guardian has been despicably grounding you too much, you have the legal right to choose your season off of grounding and have it that way, whether you're right or wrong. If there's a seldom opportunity coming up and you've been getting held back from them too much, you have the right to designate a week or month off of the denial to not be an option during that time. For instance, if there's a certain TV show coming at a certain time that you could hardly have another chance to, it's legal to have a bulletin posted up about grounding from TV to not be an option for the week it's going to be aired. Or if there's an activity that very seldom happens, it's legal to have a bulletin posted up about serving a grounding over it or losing it to not be an option for the month it's going to take place. These plans are perfectly legal in all the states of this country, and whoever posts them up has the right of way. This means if the bulletin says regardless of behavior, you must do what it says. If you state it out by a deal of behavior, you're just dishonestly refusing to go by the bulletin. These bulletins are either gone by or not gone by. They're not the times that you can refuse the plan according to their behavior. Believe it or deny it, children have the legislature's permission to make these times off of getting the things they don't like, whether 100 days or 1 year or 1 season or 1 month. And this means as a parent or guardian or teacher, you don't get to make it look like it's a deal according to you. Now that I told you all about this, I hope you understand how to properly use a point sheet and to follow the rules of the new handbook when it comes out. There will be a handbook as soon as we get a chance to make it.